Hello, it's me again, Yulia Latunenko. And today I have a very interesting topic, what every woman needs to know if she is building or planning to build a relationship with a man. Today we will talk about some secrets of men, as well as certain biases or stereotypical beliefs that women have as a result of being raised by previous generations. If you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, please subscribe, give this video a like, and let me know if this video was useful for you and whether you already knew everything that will be discussed in this video. So when women build relationships with men, they sometimes overlook certain things. And because of this, conflicts arise in relationships with men, and relationships can even fall apart. So let's talk today about what biases and secrets we still don't know. And the first thing I want to say here is that there is actually no difference between the psychology of women and the psychology of men. But many people talk about masculine energies, feminine energies, about the male psyche and the female psyche. This is not a scientific approach. It's magic, it's esotericism, whatever you want to call it. But it has nothing to do with the scientific approach in psychology. So I want all of us to understand that there is no difference between the female brain and the male brain. And this has been proven by science. What can actually influence the behavior of a man or a woman is the environment in which a child is raised and the role models that parents expect from a girl or a boy. In other words, our brains are the same. Our psyche is the same, but the influence on the psyche of a man and a woman can be very different. And this depends on how developed the parents of a girl or a boy are, how well they understand developmental psychology, how educated they are, about the fact that a child's brain, in principle, does not depend on their gender. But this gender difference between men and women lies only in the fact that our sexual organs are different. The psyche and the brain work the same way. The second thing I would like to note is that both men and women have equal rights to express their feelings. Since the brains of women and men are constructed in the same way, naturally, we have the same feelings. There are 7 basic emotions that are experienced by both women and men. We all know that men can feel fear and shame, and they can also feel anger as well. But the prohibition against expressing emotions is much stronger for men. From a very young age, boys are taught that if they show any emotions, cry, or feel despair or sadness, then they are no longer considered boys. They are devalued based on their gender, their sex, and are said to become like girls. These are all stereotypical prejudices that shorten men's lives. We all know that on average men live much, not much, but still less than women. And all this happens in part because men suppress a lot within themselves. There is this expectation even from women that if you cry, if you express any feelings, if you get angry, then you are no longer a man. And of course, this leads to a kind of discrimination against men's emotions, which has its consequences affecting men's health and their life expectancy. For some reason, women believe that only they are allowed to show feelings, to cry, while men are forbidden to do so. And the only feeling that women encourage in men and that they enjoy seeing men express is the feeling of guilt. But that's another story. We can talk about that in another video. Why do women blame men? Oh, let me know in the comments if you're interested in this topic. But in this video, we're talking about what women don't know and what affects their relationships with men. What secrets do we need to know? The third thing I'd like to emphasize here is the concept of responsibility. Every adult should take responsibility for their actions, their words, their decisions, their choices, and even for their feelings and illnesses. After all, many women believe that a man should take responsibility for her. They even say directly, "You're not taking responsibility for me." But only parents should be responsible for their children. When you say this to a man, you're actually suggesting he become your father, while you try to take on the role of an immature little girl. If both partners are adults and mature, they share responsibility 50-50 in the relationship. We know that many women believe that financial responsibility lies entirely with men. But what do we see as a result? What we see are codependent relationships where men start manipulating finances, where a woman becomes financially dependent on the man, where she endures abuse and even destroys her own health. But she believed that it was the man who should take responsibility, financial responsibility for her. But she wanted this herself, isn't that right? But then the consequences of this desire are not very pleasant. To put it mildly, the fact that women want someone to take responsibility for them leads to such consequences that at the beginning of a relationship, men avoid serious relationships that involve any obligations. And men have stopped wanting to marry women precisely because a woman's infantilism leads her to look for anyone in a man, but not a partner. A mother, a father, anyone who will take care of her and make her life happy. But these are not partnership relationships. I'm not saying here that all men are mature and there are no infantile ones. No, among men, just like among women, there are infantile personalities. After all, what we're discussing now is how to improve our consciousness and become more mature, to treat ourselves with respect and to treat our partner with respect. Next, what would I like to focus on? On the fact that men, just like women, because our brains and psyches are structured the same way, there's no difference depending on gender. They also want to see attention, initiative, tenderness, and care from a woman, just like we women want all of this too. So we need to get rid of the idea that a man must pursue a woman while she's this cold beauty sitting in a tower, watching as the man on a horse jumps around the tower trying to win her over. This mindset in women is narcissistic. Of course, I'm not suggesting that you should chase after men. That's unnecessary too. But if you want a truly equal partnership, you need to be able to maintain that balance and also show men some signs of attention and care from your side. I'm not talking about overwhelming him with love and attention or chasing after him. No, you absolutely shouldn't do that under any circumstances. But it's important to sense that balance when you're given attention and you also show your interest. That's also very important. Fifth point, men don't want to be used financially, just as women don't want to be used sexually. But we also know that there are financially successful women who don't want to be used by men. In other words, nobody wants to be used. That's why I think that successful, wise, mature men may be wary of women who can't provide for themselves. Only immature men who want to play the role of a sugar daddy to be on top are interested in girls who can't get their own lives together. And now we're going to talk about men's little secrets. The sixth important point on my list is men's sexuality. Some men may delay their very first sexual encounter precisely because they are not entirely sure their erection will work well enough. You have to understand that this insecurity can happen to any man because every man has moments when his erection lets him down. Even a healthy, completely healthy man experiences such situations in his life. Another thing to know is that prostatitis has become much more common at a younger age, and even men in their 30s can already have chronic prostatitis, which can lead to situations where erections are unstable or even absent altogether. That's why men are often very cautious about that first sexual encounter. And if it happens and doesn't go well, women shouldn't take it personally, cry, or throw tantrums thinking, I'm so unattractive that you couldn't get it up. You shouldn't do that. On the contrary, you should create an atmosphere of trust, support, and safety for the man, and then everything will be fine. The seventh point on my list is this. Most men love imperfect women, desire imperfect women, maybe with imperfect weight, with imperfect looks. These stereotypical Instagram standards, which are now seriously damaging the psyche and nerves of imperfect women, are just Instagram standards. In real life, everything happens completely differently. Men, you've probably seen couples where the woman isn't exactly perfect, she doesn't have a perfect figure, but next to her is a quite handsome and successful man. All of this, it seems to me, is just some kind of mindset that prevents people from building relationships. But if your man or potential partner measures you in kilograms, then you have every right to measure him in centimeters. I suggest leaving such men, not building relationships with them, because most likely they are narcissistic individuals. And the last point on my list concerns compliments. Men, just like women, need compliments and recognition. It's a complete myth that men don't need compliments and that only women do. So be generous with compliments, with admiration for your partners. Don't forget about this. Support their self-esteem. Let them know that they are valuable to you, that you admire them, that you love them. But if your relationships with men aren't working out, it may mean that you have certain beliefs from childhood passed down by your parents or grandparents that you need to get rid of. And to do that, you need to go through therapy. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel, like, and leave comments. The more you comment, the better it is for my channel. Please write which point from my list was new to you.